Hey neighbor, welcome back to an escape from reality. My name is John, and 2020 has been one of the best years ever. Wait, 2020 has been one of the best years ever for Gorillaz! Wow, that could have been awkward. Good save, John. We're pressing on anyways, as it's time to review the beloved animated band's 7th album, Song Machine, Season 1, Strange Times, which, for the sake of my sanity, we're just gonna call it Strange Times. Something really exciting happened at the top of the year before the pandemic, when my heart was aflutter and everything still seemed possible. January marked the release of a new Gorillaz single, Momentary Bliss, a scuzzy rocker that featured British rapper Slow Tie and the punk rock duo Slaves. Fucking loved that song, and with the announcement of their Song Machine series that would feature 2D and the gang working with a large pot of collaborators, I couldn't help but get excited. Plus my man Murdoch is back and Ace is out, so there's that too. Draw up a bath to celebrate. Look, I'm not a massive fan of Gorillaz, but I actually had a turning point in 2017 surrounding the release of Humans. They piqued my curiosity by working with literally anyone and everyone, and it seems like the mastermind Damon Albarn extended the invitation once again to kind of almost redo Humans, but with more emphasis on 2D as a primary vocalist. Rolling out singles almost monthly became the standard for the rumbling Song Machine series, so I just kind of blissfully accepted that and assumed that there wasn't an album in the works, just more singles that would eventually be turned into a compilation, but I guess I was wrong, sort of? To approach this album as an ordinary album for me to review would definitely be a mistake. This was clearly billed as a collection of singles put together for a record release, so I'm not here to pull apart the album's cohesion or whatever. I'm here to talk about the individual counterparts that make Strange Times its own unique entity. With everyone from The Cure's Robert Smith to Octavian and St. Vincent and so many others dropping in with guest appearances, it shouldn't be a groundbreaking revelation to tell you that this collection is intentionally all over the place. Most of us knew that Damon had no boundaries when it came to genre already, but Strange Times chases that high of doing things the Gorillaz have never explored before sonically. Don't expect to love each and every song equally with so many styles flashing about. Some will be instant hits and others swings and misses, but the ambition is unparalleled though, off the charts. I just can't express how well some of these guests seem to work together with Damon Albarn creating these songs. It seems like Damon is just kind of slowly checking people off of his dream collab list, and who could blame him? Most of these feel like he handcrafted the music to, in part, pay homage to the artist in question's sound, but also adding a bit of that Gorillaz flair to it. There's a lot of heat rising to the surface of Season 1, Momentary Bliss, Strange Times, even Dead Butterflies shocked me, because in theory, it totally should not work, but it does. Yet with those Powerball winners, we've also got the slightly wonky or else dull tunes that don't really persist in the mind, making the album feel slightly uneven in terms of song quality. It's hard because there's not really a singular track that stands out as being really bad or else completely lifeless. It's just that your patience gets chipped away at here and there. I think the Pink Phantom, for example, is mostly a pretty great single. Sir Elton John sounds as graceful as ever. Majestic, really. And I really felt touched by 2D's storytelling here, but the frequent out-of-place interruptions by the R&B singer Black in the closing leg of the race feels more like an auto-tuned hurdle our ears weren't meant to clear than a cheerleader chant to help us cross the finish line. Friday 13th with Octavian feels bloated with repeated listens. Chalk Tower Tablets is kind of rejuvenating, but also feels like a short shelf life waiting to happen. And honestly, as much as I love Désolé, believe me, I love Désolé, I don't think the extended mix they added brings enough to make it worth the extra 90 seconds. Fatoumata Diawara is enchanting, striking, and downright fantastic alongside Damon in this 60s R&B throwback mood, and the original 4-minute mix perfectly captures the atmosphere of several cultures under one roof. Pac-Man has also proved to be a worthy opponent, as it's one of the most replayable tracks in their canon, spliced up with retro video game sound effects as 2D admits how he feels stuck, like being trapped in a game, echoed even further by Schoolboy Q, who tears into a system that's made the odds stacked against people of color. God dang, do they sound like killers venting like this over the drippy production? It's really just spectacular. It's such a good cut that probably would have taken the cake for best on the album had it not been for Aries. Let the record show that I am not in any way complaining about that either. Aries features English drummer Georgia and freaking Peter Hook from New Order giving us that high tide, high tide, high tide. It's soul-touching perfection that I keep clinging to during this really tough year. It's just nostalgic synth pop with a calming guitar aura that'll keep you on the line for years to come. To rewind a beat, let's talk about the first song, which happens to be the amazing title track Strange Times featuring Robert Smith from The Cure. This is an eerie earworm. Yeah, I know that kind of sounds ridiculous, but it's part goth, part spacebound, total low-key banger. The commentary is obvious without being too on the nose. More than likely, you'll just find yourself willingly drowning in their ocean of sound waves. Also, circling back to something I mentioned earlier, I pointed out Dead Butterflies is a song that should not work as well as it does, yet it's quickly becoming one of my overall favorites. My jaw definitely dropped a bit when I heard the Mike Will Made It producer tag hit, but his work alongside Damon and Remy Kabaka sounds like the saddest 2 a.m. club banger I've heard in ages. Beck Hansen teamed up with Gorillaz for Valley of the Pagans as they take aim at fake happy lifestyles portrayed by celebrities and influencers. I still don't like saying that word, influencers. It's a pretty chipper sounding moment with these really over-the-top keys that make it ring out like an 80s deep cut, in addition to some fun back and forths with Beck and Damon vocally. 2D's outro definitely hits home and ties everything together for me, but I can't help but feel slightly annoyed at the other elements leading up to that point. Sometimes it's the keys and also the fact that it feels like I'm being initiated into a cult. It irks me after a few listens. One more thing and then I promise I'll wrap this up, but the Gorillaz fans will kidnap me again if I do not mention every single song by name, and that only leaves our forgotten friend, The Lost Chord. Big Plastic Beach vibe struck me like a chord as I rode in closer to shore, and while it might feel a bit lost at some points, I really appreciate the light 90s electronic influences that I'm picking up on in the midst of this kind of topsy-turvy alternative sea. Song Machine is a fantastic idea that clearly works for the Gorillaz, and I'm 100% still stoked about the future and Season 2 and all the stuff on the horizon because get this, even if one song misses the mark or falls a little bit short, the next could be fucking amazing, as proved by the rollout process for the first volume, Strange Times. The genre hopping is actually something I want to see more of. Damon's got the headspace to handle it all effectively with a little help from his friends. The highs here are monumental and the lows aren't bad, just a little bit boring. I'm gonna give Song Machine Season 1 Strange Times a 3.5 out of 5. Conventional album or not, some of the best Gorillaz songs have a home here, so check the description to see all of my favorite and least favorites along with more info about this release. I've also got all my socials like Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter linked down there if you'd like to toss a follow my way, and be sure to like this video if you enjoyed my review. More is coming down the pipeline very soon. Here's a few videos to check out in the meantime, and thanks for watching ARTV.